pulls it out.
Does circumcision fuck that up?
I wonder. I bet it does.
I'm sort of obsessed.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would. Yeah.
You're going to hear all about this tonight at the Ice House.
Circumcision, I used to have a whole series of bits about it.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's insane. It's one of the last insane rituals that we
it's crazy that we do this, right?
Yeah, people lose penises every year. There are many kids every year that lose their penis due to infection, where they never get a dick their entire life because somebody wanted to go through a ritualistic dick skin cutting on a baby.
Just beside the religious argument for it, and also the sanitation argument no longer makes sense. We have Purell now. We can disinfect baby penises.
Argument. It's such a stupid argument. It's and the argument is that there's a direct connection to the amount of people who are uncircumcised who also have HIV in Africa. The way it was explained to me, but the people that are uncircumcised also probably weren't taking care of themselves, weren't in a good family environment where they went through ritualistic things. Who knows what they were exposed to? What kind of intravenous drugs? What kind of lack of food and nourishment? What kind of diseases did they encounter that crushed their immune system? What part of Africa are they at? What is the prevalence? Have they actually been tested positive for HIV, or is we dealing with a T cell count issue? Has this been established that these people have AIDS? What's causing it?
There's also all this these metrics coming out now that it's emotionally traumatizing. Which makes it that men can't express their feelings. 80% of the men that are circumcised have a harder time expressing their feelings. It was something I read. And because the only woman that you have ever met gives you to a stranger when you're 5 days old and cuts your dick off in front of people. And when you start crying, they just start clapping and taking pictures. Of course you're going to not distrust women.
I literally heard this come out of a lady's mouth. I did it to my son because I don't want it to look gross for him.
Oh, my God.
She's like, I don't want his dick to look gross. And I was
you
like,
should have
what?
Called child services.
But you're allowed to do it. That's what's crazy. If circumcision didn't exist.
It is insane that it is even legal.
Imagine if it didn't exist.
Imagine if you were cutting off women's vaginas. There would be riots in the streets.
I mean, I've heard some really crazy fucking arguments from people that are super ultra progressive that start going down the rabbit hole with Islam where they don't want to criticize anything. Someone called it egalitarian gender surgery. That the genital mutilation was some sort of egalitarian gender surgery.
For
I was like,
men and women?
Women. Yeah, women. But women. Women.
Oh, my God.
Women, which is...
Sound too ridiculous.
They cut off your clit. It's not the same thing. It's way worse.
A lot of porn stars do that for aesthetic reasons. Labiaplasty. In porn,
but they don't cut their clit off.
Is the enemy. Yes. You ever see vagina...
They cut their clit?
You ever see vagina... You want me to draw it? You ever see vaginas that don't have the chicken gizzard?
No.
That's a labiaplasty. And they do it for aesthetic reasons. Because they have they've got that, the
mud flaps.
They've got the kind of oyster vibe going.
But does the clitoris get cut there as well?
Yes.
Jesus.
Which is you guys are watching porn with these girls that are genitally mutilated and aren't even having orgasms, and you're being lied to. Yeah. Yeah. So if the vagina doesn't have this on it,
If I see one of those, I'm calling the police.
They went to one of those strip mall plastic surgeons and got that thing shaved off.
Oh, man, that's so awful.
Sometimes it's like I've seen porn where I'm like, where's her labia? What is going on? They're just cutting them right off.
To numb the outside edge of your pussy and
upsetting.
remove meat.
It's
just to give it some sort of a attractive pose.
Yeah. No, and that is what's causing so many problems, because you're seeing that fake vagina and then you see a real one and you're like, oh, this is ugly. It's like, no, this is just what a vagina looks like. It's like the new voluntary female circumcision.
But at least...
Sorry, clitoral hood reduction is...
Hood? We do need to change the name of that. Look under the hood, everybody. I'd really rather not. A hoodie. Let's say hoodie. That's at least a little more endearing.
Relatively. Oh my God.
What?
Is it worth it? Look at this. Reviews, costs. Get the fuck out of here. Pictures. Stop this.
I have friends who have gotten the vaginal rejuvenation surgery, and they said it was more painful than childbirth.
Ow.
Yeah. But what they do is they ask you, do you want to go back to 16, 18, or 21? They ask you what age you want to go back to.
So
and I'm
if
like,
you say 12?
Well, here's my point. It's like, girls have had different amounts of sex at those ages, so it's like, I want her 21, not my 21.
Yeah, what in the fuck kind of question is that?
I know.
I mean, it's disproportionate, though, the amount of people that get circumcisions versus the amount of people that get labia reduction.
Well, at least labia reduction is somewhat consensual. I mean, you're choosing to do it. I mean, you probably aren't all there if you're a porn star anyway, but I just think doing it when you're 5 days old isn't particularly fair.
It's so unfair, and it's so crazy that it's the norm. It's more common
the
than not.
norm.
Yeah.
I think something like 75% of American men.
It's so unnecessary and it doesn't do any good. It's not.
And it gives. There's
thing.
like some numbness too.
Yes.
Do you know guys who are uncircumcised?
Yeah, they say it feels way better. And I go, how
when
the
you're
fuck do you know,
uncircumcised.
bitch?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what my
How do
dick
you?
feels like. You're just talking shit.
But
Might be worse. But it's a thin layer of mucus develops over the head of the dick, where it's like protected by the skin. It stays moist in there and is supposedly more sensitive. Whereas after you've had your foreskin removed, it's dried out and it's a numb dick.
well, it also cuts some nerve endings.
Yes,
Which is actually, you know what? Maybe you guys
does.
do need less nerve endings. I actually think if all men weren't circumcised, nothing would ever get done.
It's probably part of
It's
the
just be
case.
jerking off all day.
If everybody could suck their own dick and no one was circumcised, that's the reason why everybody comes like just short.
Maybe that's why our country has such a prolific GDP, because the men are circumcised
And they can't suck their own dick.
If sex felt any better, we'd have a real problem on our hands.
Maybe if you